The morning sun sliced through the thin veil of fog like a spotlight across my small, quiet property. I had spent the last hour placing flowers along the edge of the yard, soaking in that rare kind of peace you only feel when the world hasn't yet barged in with its rules, opinions, and complaints. Then I saw it, the corner of my land, again cluttered with too many stray shoes, bikes, and whatever else my neighbors let migrate into my space. I'd picked up a simple wooden post and the sign I'd made the night before. Bold text, clear and polite, private property. Please respect our space. Nothing hostile, nothing confrontational. Just a gentle reminder to stop treating my yard like a community lost and found. As I hammered the post into the soil, I heard Mrs. Whitmore from 3 houses down muttering to her dog. "Oh, she's putting up another sign," she said sharply enough that even the poor dog winced. I rolled my eyes and kept working. This was my land. I had every right to mark it. By noon, the sign stood firmly in place, and I let myself enjoy a tiny victory smile. The breeze moved softly through the trees. A lawn mower hummed in the distance. For a moment, everything felt perfectly peaceful. That peace shattered 30 minutes later. A crisp knock rattled my front door, jolting me out of calm. I opened it to find a man in a tucked polo shirt, clipboard clutch in hand. Official looking, but definitely not law enforcement. "Hi, I'm with the HOA," he said, forcing a smile so stiff it felt like it might crack. "We received concerns about a sign on your property. We need you to remove it immediately. It's causing confusion and, trespassing allegations." "Excuse me," I asked, eyebrows arching. "I'm standing on my own property. The sign is on my land. How on earth is that trespassing?" He cleared his throat, uncomfortable. "Well, it's complicated. The community guidelines." Before he could finish, my phone buzzed. A new message from the HOA. "We filed a report with local authorities regarding trespassing. Expect police." My jaw dropped. The breeze no longer felt peaceful. It felt like the warning right before a storm breaks. I stared at my sign, at the neatly trimmed grass at my own front door, with a man still hovered like a cat, sizing up the perfect moment to pounce. And just like that, my calm morning shattered into chaos I never even saw coming. By the time I hung up the phone, my chest felt tight, and a low thrum of anxiety settled into the corners of my home. I paced across the living room, glancing out the window at my sign, which suddenly felt like a lightning rod begging to attract trouble. Minutes later, a pair of police cruisers eased onto my street. Lights off, but presence unmistakable. 2 officers stepped out, calm yet authoritative. I opened the door before they could even knock. "Hi, officers. Can I help you?" I tried for neutral, but the tension twisting inside me made my voice sharper than I intended. One officer, tall with a tired expression, lifted a notebook. "We receive a report about potential trespassing on this property. Are you aware of any issues?" I blinked at him. I'm literally standing on my own property. I put up a sign, my sign, on my land, marking the boundary. That's trespassing. The other officer, shorter with a gentler tone, added, "We're just trying to clarify and ensure everyone's safe. Can you show us what the sign is?" I led them to the edge of the yard. The sign stood firmly in the sunlight, its painted letters glowing. "Here, it's on my property. No one has crossed anything." They exchanged a silent look, the kind that said more than words. Finally, the taller officer cleared his throat. "We'll need to document the complaint, but there doesn't seem to be any immediate threat." I exhaled, relieved the ordeal might finally be ending. But then a familiar voice cut straight through the yard. "Excuse me, are you people seriously defending this?" I turned. Mrs. Whitmore, gripping her clipboard like a legal weapon, stood rigid on the sidewalk, her eyes blazing with self-righteous fury. "This is unacceptable. You're harassing neighbors, confusing community, and creating unnecessary tension. I've already filed my report. You need to take that sign down." The officers looked at her, then at me. The shorter one rubbed the back of his neck. "Ma'am, we're just responding to complaints. The sign is still on her property." Mrs. Whitmore wasn't deterred in the slightest. She stepped closer, voice rising. The HOA has rules. Rules about aesthetics. And this sign, this ugly sign, is a violation. My patience strained, disbelief hitting me harder than anything. I had stepped outside hoping for a quiet morning, not to become the unwilling star of suburban standoff. And then, as if the universe couldn't resist stirring the pot, my neighbor across the street lifted his phone high. She's live-streaming this. The officers' heads turned. Mrs. Whitmore's face paled, barely, but enough. My stomach dropped. We were no longer dealing with a simple HOA dispute. This fiasco was about to go viral. By mid-afternoon, my quiet street had transformed into a small-scale drama arena. The HOA representative from earlier returned, this time flanked by an entourage. 2 additional board members, a camera-toting intern, and a thick stack of papers clearly designed to intimidate. The police had left by then, shaking their heads as if wishing me luck. I opened the door slowly, bracing myself. Yes, hello again. What's the emergency this time? One board member, tall with sharply creased slacks and a glare sharp enough to carve stone, thrust a document at me. This is a formal notice. You are trespassing by asserting unauthorized boundaries. The sign must come down immediately or legal action will follow. I inhaled deeply, fighting the urge to laugh at the absurdity. Let me get this straight, I said, voice controlled but edged with disbelief. You're telling me I can't mark my own property? That the land I legally own somehow spiritually belongs to the HOA? Another member, shorter with glasses sliding down his nose, chimed in, It's about community compliance. You can't just post anything you want. I gestured toward the sign. It's not a manifesto. It's a polite warning. My mailbox isn't exploding. The street isn't blocked. And no one is trespassing, except apparently in your imagination. A murmur, agreement, or panic. Who knew? Passed through the group. Then Mrs. Whitmore reappeared, waving her phone like a judge's gavel. We've documented everything. This will not stand. You're setting a precedent. The absurdity of it all hit me at once. Here I was, standing in my own yard, surrounded by what felt like an entire battalion of overzealous volunteers defending imaginary regulations. My neighbor across the street had now unfolded a lawn chair and cracked open popcorn, fully committed to the entertainment. Before I could muster a response, my phone chimed sharply. A message from the HOA's attorney. Immediate removal required. Failure to comply may result in fines and escalation. Police involvement possible. I stared at the screen, heart thudding. The mild-mannered morning of planting flowers had evaporated completely. The peaceful routine I trusted had been replaced with bureaucracy, surveillance, and public embarrassment. And then the realization hit me. If this circus could erupt over one sign, what came next? Could they summon the police again? Issue citations? Strong-arm me off my own land? I stepped back into the house, the sign lingering in my peripheral vision like a raised battle standard. My stomach churned, but a spark of stubborn resolve ignited. I wasn't backing down without a fight, though it was suddenly clear the fight was far larger than anything I expected. By evening, tension on my street had reached something surreal. Cars slowed as neighbors peeked from behind their blinds. The sign in my yard stood boldly, afternoon light reflecting off its painted letters, as if daring the HOA to push harder. My phone buzzed nonstop, neighbors checking on me, friends asking what was happening, and of course, more reminders from the HOA insisting I was in violation. Then came the knock. Loud, purposeful. I opened the door to find 3 uniformed officers. This time, their presence carried heavier weight. This wasn't a casual follow-up. Ma'am, the tallest officer said, voice steady but firm. We've received additional complaints. We're here to make sure the situation doesn't escalate. I swallowed, trying to keep steady. I'm standing on my property. The sign is mine. I haven't done anything to anyone. What exactly am I being accused of? The second officer cleared his throat. Trespassing has been reported. Again, we need to confirm the details. My patience snapped. I've shown the property line to officers twice today. I'm not trespassing. This is my land. The officers looked at each other, but stayed silent, waiting. Before anything else could unfold, Mrs. Whitmore charged into my yard, phone recording like she was capturing footage for a documentary. You're disturbing the community. This behavior is unacceptable. My neighbor across the street called out from his porch, still holding popcorn. She's in full reality TV mode. A wave of disbelief and anger surged through me. You're accusing me of trespassing on my own land, and now you've dragged the police into the circus. The tallest officer finally spoke again, professionalism stretched thin. We're just mediating. The HOA can't control your property rights. But repeated complaints, well, that's why we're here. Mrs. Whitmore's face flushed crimson. Her grip on the phone trembled. This will not stand. We are a community. I stepped forward, voice cold and steady. And I am a property owner. My property, my boundaries. End of discussion. A heavy silence followed, broken only by the whisper of leaves in the evening breeze. Mrs. Whitmore eventually retreated, muttering threats about legal action and community standards as the officers gently escorted her and the remaining board members off my lawn. I sank onto front steps, chest rising and falling. The sign still stood. My land remained mine. And the chaos, HOA warnings, police visits, public drama, finally began to ease, leaving behind a strange blend of exhaustion and triumph. For the first time all day, I let myself smile. Sometimes standing your ground is messy, absurd, and draining, but absolutely worth it. The sun slipped below the horizon, draping my yard in warm gold. And there it was, my little wooden sign, swaying softly like a small but solid victory banner. Felt that tension with me? Smash like if you believe ordinary people deserve to protect their own space. Subscribe to Karen's Hub for more stories of real-life pushback and justice served. And tell me in the comments, how would you have handled this HOA nightmare?